What is up, y'all? It is Tasha. We are back with a Married at First Sight video, y'all. We know we skipped last week because last week was just like a review and the other old couples kind of reflecting and saying how they felt about the current couples. I didn't really care about all that, so I didn't even watch it. But we are back for what we have all been waiting for, which is decision day. And I'm so happy they did it all in one part. This was probably the best episode of the season because it was compressed in that you gave us a little bit of backstory, which we kind of didn't need because they gave us a backstory almost every episode. But since it's been a couple weeks, giving us a little bit of a backstory, coming in, letting the couples talk, and kind of getting right to whatever the decision was. So I really truly appreciated that because I was already prepared for maybe a two-parter because Married at First Sight just drags everything out for no reason, y'all. No reason. But let's get started on the decision day episode, y'all, because so the episode just went off. I couldn't even wait. So we are back here with the review already. It has been a long 16 episodes, child. I'm so happy we finally made it. So glad I made it. Yes. So they show all the couples in the beginning getting ready individually, of course, because they're not sleeping in the same space. I found it funny that they show Mishka at Ryan's house. So, Clara's dog, Mishka. And I'm like, is he trying to get like his last few hours in with Mishka? Because he going to tell Clara no. He like the dog more than her. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to jump into the discussions and decisions that was made. And let's talk about it, y'all, because... Okay, so I'm gonna give my prediction before I go into each couple. Before, of course, I put this in my notes before they actually said whatever their decision was. So just to see if, all of us was right, which I think we all had a good hunch of what was gonna happen. Okay, so first up is Ryan and Clara. My prediction is they'll stay together, of course. So as each of the couples get started with their segment, they kind of do a little voiceover, them talking about each other, the good times that they've had with each other, and then kind of the challenges that they've had along the way. So we see that with the two of them. We see them walk in. Ryan looks, quite dapper in his little suit with his big ass bow tie on it. While Clara, I like the color of Clara's dress, but I don't really think it was flattering for her. I wish she would have picked another color for her skin tone, and I wish she would have picked a different style dress because it wasn't giving what it's supposed to give, I think. Anyway, Pastor Kel says that, Clara isn't a pushover and, really asks how Ryan dealt with that because he's an alpha male. And I'm like, she ain't a pushover. Since when? She's done nothing but let this man push her over since the honeymoon. The honeymoon when he kind of checked her about, just kind of minding your business and staying out of Chris and Paige's business. Getting her, she has an earlier bedtime now. Homegirl ain't having no sex. She don't get the I love you or really any type of emotions and things that she wants from him. So yeah, she became quite the pushover dealing with Ryan. So he didn't really have to do a whole lot of adjusting because she completely caved into whatever he wanted. But of course, they discussed them not saying I love you. Ryan has to tell us all over again how it takes a lot for him to say that. And it just takes, just chipping away at it. Ain't nobody got time for that. You work on yourself and figure out why you need so much work to tell somebody that you love them. That is not Clara's job to chip away at every little piece of stone, wood, whatever it is you made of to get you to tell her that you love her. Like, child, get out my face with this. But of course, she wants to stay married because she wants to see what that thing do. But anyway, she didn't say that. Basically, she says she can't see her life without him. He's her best friend. And I'm like, so we just get best friends in 8 weeks now? Okay. So then when it comes to, and of course she wants to stay married. So then when it gets to Ryan, he has to go say all these I'm not sure. They have to do all these awkward pauses that production put in there. And the poor girl, you can see is starting to tear up because she's like, what is he about to say? I've already made the decision in my head that we're both going to say yes. So what are you doing? But he says that he 150% wants to stay married to her. Go figure. We'll see where they are at the reunion, because if he don't give up the draws, or if he don't say I love you before then, Clara gonna be out, okay? I already see that happening. After them, we have Haley and Jacob. I think Jacob is gonna say yes and Haley's gonna say no. Just kidding. They're both going to say no. Surprise! So again, they give their little reflections and comments about one another. We have to see all their little cringeworthy moments all over again. Of course, Jacob walks into the room terribly dressed with his thick glasses, his pinstripe suit, and his jeans. And I'm like, that's all you could muster together. So you could tell he was going to say no. He did not try to pull himself together to look extra cool and extra handsome for the day, because he like, for why? I'ma say no. But Haley comes through serving looks in her little black dress and her curly hair with her highlights. She was super cute. Haley says that she's learned a lot about communication and processing her emotions so she doesn't shut down, which I've heard her say that a few times in the previous episodes about when she's asked how, you know, what she's learned or what she's changed going forward. Jacob says that he's learned patience under pressure. And they kind of, I think it was Dr. Viviana kind of asked, well, what does that mean? And I felt like he didn't really give an answer, because I don't see how you can have patience under pressure when I felt like throughout the whole season, he continued to kind of explode as they were having, you know, disagreements and couldn't get along. Like, you really did not have a lot of patience from what I saw. But okay, if that's what you learned, Jacob, all right. But they basically start arguing back and forth in front of the experts. Pastor Cal asked Jake if Haley said she wanted to still try, what would he say? And he's like, I would say you've had 8 weeks to try. And I agree. But he says, of course, they've had the time. He doesn't think they really did. So she agreed. I agreed. We all agreed. We getting a divorce. Next up is our favorite couple, Chris and Paige. We have not seen them for a couple weeks, so it's been a little bit more peaceful on these episodes. But here we are to stir up the shit yet again, y'all. Lord, give me strength. Okay, so my prediction is his gaslighting self will probably say he wants to stay married, and she is so gullible that she will say yes, she wants to stay married if he goes first. That was my prediction when they first came on the screen. So they start playing their little reel of recaps, and it almost makes me want to throw up. Like, I really didn't enjoy how much I was enjoying not seeing Chris on my TV until I saw him again, and I felt like all the rage came building back up, and I wanted to slap him in the face yet again. Just me? Okay. Anyway. While they was kind of going through their stuff, this Negro had the nerve to say that he think Paige gets agitated quickly. Excuse me, sir. She gets agitated quickly when she dealt with BS from you from the very first episode. Like, she didn't see all of it, but you, even at the reception, you telling her girlfriends that, you know, she's not your typical type and things like that. And then literally the next day or the day after that on the honeymoon, well, not even before y'all could get to the honeymoon, kind of having your whole panic attack situation, getting to the honeymoon and gaslighting this girl. What you mean she get agitated quickly? All this BS you put on her in such a short amount of time. She should have light your ass up more than she did. So be grateful it wasn't one of us other black girls, because me, get away from me with this, Chris. Chris, he still looks ugly coming in his little suit. And then Paige does look cute in her little blazer dress. Wasn't really feeling the makeup. Maybe she could have picked a different color dress, but we here, and we really just here for the shenanigans that they about to give us. So Dr. Viviana asks Paige why she kept coming back, and of course we know because she's in love with the idea of marriage, not necessarily the person that she's married to. So Dr. Pepper asks Chris how he could have been kinder to her, and he says he regrets not moving into the apartment and says that she is the best thing he never cherished. The lies. Oh my God. I was just like, He has a way with words, and he knows that he can manipulate her with his words. And that's why he says the thing that he says. I wanted him to talk cash crazy like he did when he was with Pastor Cal one-on-one, and he was talking cash crazy about he wanted a queen. There's all these white queens and, mixed queens and Puerto Rican queens and Mexican queens and all these other black queens out here, but this is who y'all chose for him. I wanted him to come talk cash crazy like he did to Pastor Cal, and not come here and then act like, oh, when I said I was, scared to fall in love with you, I meant that. And all the experts, especially Dr. Viviana, is like, cry me a river, because I don't believe none of this is what you're trying to feed me, okay? Nobody believed any of what he was saying except Paige. All right, before we get there. So, anyway, he continues to gaslight her, and then he shares that Mercedes had a miscarriage, and the experts, say how sorry that they are. And then he tries to produce some tears on the man. And then he gets up and he walks out because he want to be gangster. He don't want us to see him cry on TV no more, right? When he started crying and stood up and walked out, I busted out laughing so loud. Like, what? Who are you fooling, Chris? I'm, of course, not laughing at the fact of the miscarriage situation, because I would never want anybody to have a miscarriage, especially those who, are looking forward to a baby. But for one, I don't even believe she was ever pregnant. That's just my personal opinion. I don't believe she was ever pregnant. And two, he's using his tears to continue to further gaslight Paige. So I have no sympathy for him. If he's looking for it, he better find it from somewhere else, because it's not coming from me. Anyway, Paige then goes running after him. The producer tells her that he's gotten in a car and he left, but she then finds him in his car crying, and then she starts to cry as well. And I'm like, all these weeks have gone by and we have not learned anything, Paige. We have not learned anything. Oh, gosh. And then he keeps saying how much he cared about her. He wasn't trying to degrade her. I hate that it turned out this way. Chris, no, you don't. You may hate that you look horrible on TV and this didn't play out as you expected, to maybe try to more so embarrass her. But you don't care about her. You never did. You don't care how this made her look and how her feelings played into all this, because you continue to do the same crap over and over again and continue to talk horribly about her after that. It's okay to not be attracted to her, but for you to continue to go in on it how you did in these episodes, get away from me with this. Get away from me with this. Anyway, once I saw that and she, went after him and they start talking in the car, I'm like, Paige, I already knew you were a better, well, I ain't gonna say better woman. You were a different woman than me. Because of all the mess you put up with him so far. But in this moment, when he walked out crying, I would have continued sitting pretty on that couch and let him walk to that car and have his little tantrum. And I would not have moved a muscle. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Anyway, so they come back in, and they start talking again. So Paige says she feels mentally and emotionally overwhelmed. And Dr. Viviana asks her, why? Like, why are you feeling this way? Again, I'm not understanding either, because you're not invested enough in this man to be so physically and emotionally attached to what is going on and what he's saying. So basically what it boils down to is she says that because that was kind of the block of them really moving forward with the process and really giving it their all, basically essentially was the baby. Now that hurdle is gone, it kind of makes her, I guess, second guess her decision. Anyway, so Pastor Cal then asked the same question. I was wondering well, when Chris, no, I think they asked Chris, how he felt or something. And he says he wished he could start it on the process all over again because he has feelings for her. Again, the lies. But Paige is just, smiling ear to ear and, just loving everything that is being said. But it just made me so upset because I think Chris said that in response to Pastor Cal saying, well, what has changed? Because y'all had issues kind of since day one, prior to even finding out the baby. So the baby was kind of just the cherry on top of the ice cream that he already laid out for you. So it shouldn't really have made that much of a difference now that she supposedly had a miscarriage. But okay. But, you know, as she hears him say these things, she continues to start smiling from ear to ear. And I'm just like, you gonna continue to let him play you on TV like this? Oh, okay. But as we go through that, I really wish that Pastor Cal would have put him on blast as well. Because Pastor Cal kept sitting there like he was so aggravated and so annoyed with Chris. And I'm like, you should have laid it all out on the table as well. And let Paige know how he kind of talked about her like a dirty dog. Don't let her sit here and feed into this nonsense that he's saying now. Let her know how this man really felt about her. Let this boy really felt about her. Kristen says that they're undecided, and Dr. Viviana, I think, is all of us. And she's like, no. We need to be making a decision here. And I'm like, exactly, sis. We ain't leaving here on no undecided. And then he has the nerve to try to be speaking for the both of them of, we can't make a decision. We are undecided. Okay, but he starts going off on her, and then of course Paige has to take this time to speak for the both of them because he turns into a little toddler and starts having a temper tantrum when things don't go his way. So, you know, Paige starts talking about, you know, how things have changed or whatever. And again, I'm like, wow, the baby per se is no longer a factor. The fact that he still has such strong feelings for his ex that he was really ready to leave you so quickly and go to her, that should be reason enough to not move forward with this man. So she then gets all emotional. She walks out crying and says, you know, it's too much. She can't do this anymore. And as she's walking out, he's following behind her. And he's like, you ready to go? You want to go? No. So you can get her alone and manipulate her some more? No. So she then goes and she asks one of the producers to talk to them. So she sits down and she talks to one of the producers. So while she's doing that, Pastor Cal is kind of whispering in Chris's ear, telling him, you know, be responsible, forget this whole show, think about this girl, and be responsible in what you're doing and what you're saying. While she's talking to the producer is like, so you kind of knew what you were going to say before you got here? And she's like, yes. And then she's like, so now what has changed your mind? They really don't answer. But of course, we later learned that this whole process between the two of them was 6 hours long. Oh my gosh. But anyway, after all of these shenanigans, they then come back into the room and she is honest and she says that she doesn't think things will change. And Chris honestly looks shocked because I believe he seriously thought he could just continue to put her through the ringer and she would just continue to put up with his nonsense. And I think we all kind of believe that. So I was a little bit shocked too when she kind of decided to stand up for herself. But she ends up saying she won't stay married because she needs to leave for her mental health and put Paige first. Thank you, baby Jesus. Oh my God. He starts pouting, looking sad, as if we care, because we don't. And then he has the nerve to say he is disappointed things didn't go as planned because, you know, he's supposed to, you know, walk out of here with, you know, his wife and his happily ever after. Well, Negro, what did you expect? What did you truly expect, Chris? Maybe if you were even good looking, we could look past all the BS that you did. But you don't even have your looks going for you that we can bypass the other nonsense. Come on. But anyway, I thank Paige for choosing herself. I hope she does not let this boy back in her life ever again. Delete his phone number. If he tries to call, block him on social media. Like, do what you got to do and then go make appointments with both of those therapists that you told us that you were seeing earlier. Okay? Because you need it, girl. All right. So we got 3 now, 2 more to go. So we see them start over the next day. They reflected on Chris and Paige and how crazy that was. And then they start the new day with Virginia and Eric. So my prediction, of course, they will both say yes, but they won't stay together long term. So Virginia comes in. She's looking a little house on the prairie-ish in her outfit. And Eric comes in looking like, you know, true little Republican Trump supporter that he is. Eric starts off with this whole number one person, best friend nonsense that we have to keep hearing. And I want to bash my head against the wall because he just keeps saying this narrative of she's my number one. And you just have to be number one when you're married, no matter how things go. That has to be your number one person. That has to be your best. She's known you for 2 months. She's known you for 2 months. Give it a rest. He gets on my nerves. So Eric goes first. He says that the highs has definitely outweighed the lows. He wants to work on things that will make him better. And he's kind of going through this whole spiel. I have to say, as he's talking, Virginia's face is kind of looking like, I don't give 2 F's what you saying. I don't really want to stay with you. So I was like, uh-oh, is she going to pull a stunt and say no? But then I was like, no, she's too immature to actually do that. So he then pulls out this little pink rubber ring and asks her if she will stay married to him. I already didn't like Eric, but this just made me dislike him even more because I feel like he put her, even if she may have wanted to say no, he put her in an awkward position that it would have made it a little bit more difficult for her to say no because he pulled this stunt. You know, she didn't even have a chance to, you know, talk about how she felt and how things went with her and, you know, if she wanted to move forward. But him really pulling this move, I feel like while she probably was still going to say yes, I feel like it put her in an even more awkward situation that if she would have said no, it would have been looking real crazy out there. So I hate that he did that. But anyway, they both say yes. And again, I don't think Virginia will put up with this foolishness for the rest of her life. So last up, we have Bree and Vincent. We know they both gonna say yes, so let's just get it over with. So Bree comes in looking fabulous in her little red dress, her bouncy hair, her flawless makeup. I was like, yes, Bree, serve the girls, okay? You have to come dressed to the nine just in case they say no and they get to see everything that they about to miss out on. Okay, Bree did that. So, and then Vincent comes in looking pretty normal in his suit as usual. So Vincent has to remind us that, you know, he thinks Bree is bossy and rude, and Bree is like, well, that's just a part of me and I can't change myself and be who or what he wants me to be. That's just, you know, basically that's a part of me. You got to, you know, take it or leave it. And I'm just like, yeah, like things like that. That's just, you know, ingrained in someone, which I don't see it as a bad thing because I believe she's been gentle with his feelings. He's just been extra sensitive. That yes, you have to compromise in marriage, but change who you are to the core. No, I don't think so. But when she said that, it kind of made me question if she maybe was going to say no, but I was like, no, that's too minor. They're still going to say yes. But Vincent was looking like he wasn't sure after kind of Bree went through her spiel of, you know, saying that she can't imagine life without him. And of course, she wanted to stay married. And then he kind of looks questionable. I couldn't tell if he was unsure if he was going to say. I couldn't tell if he was just nervous. I couldn't tell if he was overcome with emotion from what she said. I didn't really know how to read it. But I still thought both of them was going to say yes. And it would just be a completely shocker if he said no. But he essentially gets down on one knee and he pulls out a box from under the couch and he opens the box, and it is the box with a cheesecake in the inside that says, Brianna, where will you marry me? Since we know cheesecake is her favorite dessert. So that was kind of his way of saying, yes, he absolutely wants to stay married. So cute for the two of them. I still don't know how I feel about Vincent. I really want him to get into therapy like yesterday. So I hope so. Anyway, as the episode wraps up, all the couples get together for one last get together and kind of share the decisions that they made on decision day, which, I mean, we're not surprised about any of this. I did wonder in the beginning, why did they bring Paige here? Like, we already know this girl is real sensitive with marriage and in her feelings, and you're going to bring her around all the other couples. Okay, whatever. Haley and Jacob, of course, all the couples kind of that stay together go around like, we're still married. Haley and Jacob says, you know, share that they are getting divorced. Haley says that she's learned a lot about herself. And Jacob, again, says that he has not learned anything. It just didn't work. So, again, passive aggressive. He just keeps going back and forth about when you're in front of experts, you claim you learned something about yourself. When you get in front of these folks, you learn nothing. And basically, this was a whole waste of your time. Man, Jacob, get it together. And then Paige shares the BS that Chris fed her during the decision day. And when she starts talking and, saying, how he said all these things that she had never heard him say before, everybody's just sitting there like, are we supposed to be excited that you told us that? Oh, that did not move us. That we didn't feel anything more than we already felt for Chris before you said that. Next. So I thought that was hilarious because I'm like, yeah, this just didn't make sense to none of us but you, Paige. You were the only one that had any of the feels. The rest of us felt nothing. But she did not share the miscarriage information with them. And I felt like Virginia, because she had kind of, asked how things went, that she felt like she was kind of owed whatever information. And she was a little bit passive aggressive about it. And I felt like she was just like, well, you're not going to tell us, like, whatever, that's fine. That's the attitude she gave me. And I'm like, girl, don't nobody owe you nothing. So I know this was, a lot for everybody in the beginning. But for now, you are not owed all the small details of what happened. So Virginia, get over it. Anyway, then Ugly Chris walks in. Everybody is like, here he comes with the shits. He says, good to see everybody. And everybody kind of just sits there like, why are you here? He apologizes to the group about how his life interfered with the rest of their marriages. He admit he was a horrible husband and all of his shoulda, coulda, wouldas down to the party. And don't nobody care, Chris. Don't nobody care. I tuned out. Once he started going on and on and on, I checked out and tuned out because, again, I am tired of him gaslighting the whole situation. I really don't want to hear what he has to say because everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie. So I didn't care what he had to say. But anyway, as they're wrapping up and everybody's kind of giving their hugs and leaving, Paige says that they can probably leave here as friends. And if something happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So I'm like, you continuing to leave this crack in the door for this man that embarrassed you on national TV over and over and over again, Paige. Can somebody make it make sense? Make it make sense, because after this, if I had to stay in this for the whole time and we had to make it here, he would not be able to breathe in my direction. I don't even want to see anybody that had to drive the same car you do. I don't want to see anybody that dressed like you. I don't want to hear anybody's voice that may sound like you. Like, I would want no parts of you. But she continues to leave that little glimmer of, we'll see what happens. So the reunion is next week. I can't wait. I can't remember that reunion host's name, but I absolutely love him because he really gets down and asks those questions that some reunion hosts are like sugarcoating and are afraid to ask. He usually does not have a problem with that. So I'm excited for the reunion next week. I hopefully it's just one episode like this was this week, and we can have that one last episode to wrap up this season, y'all. But it has been a whirlwind. Give me your thoughts about how y'all felt about the episode tonight. I feel like most of the predictions were pretty clear on what was going to happen. So I wouldn't say this decision day was as exciting. The whole Chris and Paige saga was the most exciting piece of it, because and that was more so just to hear the nonsense that was going to come out of his mouth. But I feel like most of the other couples, we knew what was going to happen already. So it wasn't really a shock in that aspect of who was going to stay together and who was going to get a divorce. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe y'all had other predictions. Let me know below. Let me know how you guys feel about this episode. Did y'all really want to choke Chris through your TV screen like I did? And was you here for, all the sass that Dr. Viviana and Dr. Pepper was trying to give? They was giving all the smoke to Chris, and I appreciate it. And really held their feet to the fire to make a decision. But anyway, y'all, this video is long enough, and this decision day was exhausting enough. So let's chat it up below. Let me know how you guys feel, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.